Okay, guys, let's get started. My name is Charlie Coiner. I'm the owner of FirstDown PlayBook, and more importantly, I'm a 30-year coach. I coached 9 years in the NFL, the rest in college, but a lot of my background is in special teams. And so, as you can see, I just wanted to freeze before I get over here to the stuff we're going to talk about tonight, which is kickoff return, that over the next 6 weeks, we're going to cover a phase on Monday nights at 9 o'clock. And so just make a note of that. It'll be all ball. We'll get started right at 9 o'clock each night, and I'll try to cover as much as I possibly can to help you, just based on my experience. Okay, guys, we're going to use FirstDown PlayBook, and then we got some videos set up here from my time at Tennessee. Now, a couple things about special teams. First of all, if you'll be a special teams coach and be good at it, you're going to have to value time because you're never going to have enough of it. The only way you've got a possible chance of that is if you're the head coach and you believe in the special teams part of it. But where I'm going with that is that every second of what you do, okay, you've got to document everything that you do, have it written down, make sure that you understand exactly what you want to get done and how much time it's going to take. So I'm a big believer in having a check sheet for every phase. Now, we've got one for each phase that what I'm going to do today, I blogged about it on the coaches community site. I'm going to add that tomorrow. So you'll be able to go in and get that check sheet. Your check sheet's going to be different than what mine would have been. Yours is going to be different than the guy at the next school. But you need to have a check sheet when you start off every phase of special teams, because you need not only to make sure you don't forget something, you got to make sure that you actually allot enough time to the things that you need to do. And I'm talking about the different techniques that you're going to need. So that's the one thing that I would start off with. The other is when it gets to that part about coaching and how much time, I mean, you're going to have to, if you're going to coach well on special teams, you're going to have to coach on the way out to practice. You're going to have to coach them when you get a chance to in practice. You're going to have to coach them walking off the field in practice, coach them in the cafeteria, coach them in the hallway. You're going to have to find time to coach any player that's going to work with you on special teams any chance you get, because you're never, ever, ever going to get as much time as you do on offense and defense. You're just not going to. So the best way that you can do it is to get the key players that you need to get in a one-on-one situation and make sure you coach them up. Another thing to mark down and keep in mind is this. You always want to tie in your special teams coaching to offense and defense. The kids are not going to care as much about it as they do offense and defense. So if you can go and you can coach something that you're trying to get done on kickoff return and make it like it's offense, if you can coach something on kickoff coverage or punt coverage and make it like defense, you're going to make sense to the kid. You're going to make it easier to teach. So those are two things that I firmly believe in. Another thing that I'm a big believer in when it comes to special teams is that, and I know you guys haven't even had an off season this year. It's been a weird year. But normally when you have an off season, I think that is a great time of year to politic, to lobby your head coach as you're doing any type of off-season training condition-wise to make them special teams friendly. Special teams are big field plays. They are plays that you run, you cut, you turn, you jump, you do all the things that you do in the off-season conditioning other than really the lifting part of it. So my advice to you is have a plan in the off-season to where as you're training, of course you can't have a ball out there or anything like that, but have a plan to where you can actually incorporate special teams type movements, special teams techniques that the players, the kids may not even know that you're doing it, but you will benefit from that a lot as you get to the camp and fall. Now, as I get into the scheme part of it, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go over here. I've got all these tabs open up. Let me move the Zoom stuff, try to get it out of the way if I can. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to talk just a little bit, all right, about scheme. But before I do that, and you can see all the different schemes we have here on kickoff return and FirstDown PlayBook. Now, there's 2 pages of it. All right, so my point is FirstDown PlayBook is to help all of you out there, all right? So if you're a special teams coach, don't go into anywhere and take 5 or 6 schemes and think you're going to be good at it. Get a scheme that you believe in, get a scheme that fits your personnel, and use that scheme. Now, go find 1 or 2 counters off of that. The one that I like to use as an example a lot, and we've done it on FirstDown PlayBook, and I'm not even really going to open this up But I'm going to go down here. I think you can see it's big enough. This 6 up middle right here. You can see where it's just a basic scheme. And I know right now, the other thing I was remiss, I probably should have said right off the get-go, guys, I've got college guys on here, high school guys. We've got coaches that use it in the XFL before. So we're not going to talk as much about landmarks as far as yards, yard markers and all that. We're going to talk as much as anything about the technique. But I am going to hit on 2 schemes right here really quickly. So this 6 up middle right here that you're looking at. And you can see where it's just a simple, and I'm going to blow this up even a little bit more here. You can see where it's just a simple deal where you got 6 up, all right? You got left center, left guard, left tackle, blocking the 5, all right? Blocking the 3 and the 2. Same thing on the other side, blocking the 5, 3 and the 2. You've got the 2 ends coming up inside, all right? Taking the 4s. Very simple, kind of a big field scheme right there. And the only reason I'm bringing it up is that it doesn't require really anybody working together. And if you're talented enough to do this, you can do it. Now, if you come down here and look as an example of what you would do off of like a 6 up middle scheme, would be just a simple 6 up middle bounce where everybody is blocking the same person, okay? You've got everybody blocking the same man, but what you're doing is just over here, you're going to overset a little bit, and you're going to let the 4, the 3, and the 2 beat you inside. Now, obviously, you don't want to run this 6 up middle bounce, all right, until you run this 6 up middle for, several times, 2 or 3 games maybe. But my point is that, and we're not going to talk, once again, a lot of scheme here. I'm a firm believer that not only do you take 1 or 2 schemes, take schemes that make sense off of one another. Don't come out and have a big field scheme and then have where you're going to post and pin over here. Now you're going to have a counter scheme over here. At the level that you're going to coach at, more often than not, you're not going to have enough time to get it covered, and you're going to have people running free, and that's going to get your returner hurt more often than not. But these are 2 that I highly recommend, running a 6 up middle type scheme, and then running a 6 up middle bounce to where essentially you're setting things up off of that. Now, let's get into right off the bat here, let's get into technique. All right, now in my mind with the technique, and I'm going to shrink the screen up here so that you can see it. Really, when you start talking about technique, you start talking about the people on the front line and the people in the back. Now, you can get 3 levels and all of that, but to me, it's the scheme that you end up doing with the front, and it's the techniques that you end up executing. Now, I'm also a firm believer that as you're teaching, that you want to have, little mantras, so to speak, little things that you can put in their head that, they say it over and over and over again. For our people on the front line, we always had a deal at Tennessee where we just said ball, flight, returner, man. I mean, we said it over and over to them as we were teaching them. And what that meant was that we wanted there to be a progression every time the front line went out, that they were going to see the ball kicked. All right, here's your tackle, got it in green there. After that, you've got to see the flight of the ball, guys. All right, the flight of the ball matters because that's going to dictate the angle that you come out of on your front line. If that ball's kicked over here and you've got to block the 2, then you better get your butt over here quicker, all right, and with a steeper angle than if it were kicked over here where you got to drop straight back. So that is important. The second thing is locate the returner. The returner, all right, unless you got a bad returner, is going to tell you where the ball is. So a lot of guys, they try to find the flight of the ball and they try to keep it the whole way. Get your eyes off of the ball initially. You just want to see the direction. That ball might be squibbed. It might be kicked way over here out of bounds. But at some point, as the ball leaves you and you've got a pretty good idea where it is, find your returner because he's going to tell you the angle you need to take. And then obviously at the end of it, get your eyes back on your man. Get your eyes back on the guy that you're going to have to block. So just something that, you can use with your kids. Maybe you've got 3 words. Maybe you can get it down to that. But we went ball, flight, returner, man. We felt like that was something that really helped us. Okay, now on your front line blocking, really, we got it down to where we felt like there were 2 things that could happen to those guys from a standpoint of technique. you're going to be playing a fast guy, or you're going to be playing, that linebacker that likes to do nothing more than run up over, through your teeth. And so we taught, first of all, as a coach, you got to do your homework. And I'm about to hit on that here in a different vein in a second. But, you've got to let your players know who they're playing against. And you got to let them know what kind of guy it is. So if you've got a guy that's going to be, a fast guy, a guy that's going to just run past you, and you come out and you try to stone him, odds are what's going to happen is you're going to miss. You're just going to miss, because at the end of the day, you're doing, ball flight returner man, but you're busting your butt back here and you're buzzing your feet. You got your eyes back on your man. If he's a fast guy, what you got to do is you got to absorb him a little bit. You got to give some ground. And I got good clips of that down here in our video that we're going to watch at the end. But the thing you want to do is, with a fast guy, you want to give some ground, get your hands on him, and try to run him past the ball. Because if you're too aggressive, you're just going to miss. Now, if you've got that guy, once again, you know that he's going to try to run down your throat. You can't go in and just lock your hips into him unless you're that much better of an athlete. But what you can do is you can get back, get inside your hips, strike him, try to disrupt him, and then redirect him, okay? And so that's what we talk about down here, that you need to understand who you're playing. Now, I also want to take this moment right here to talk about if you're a coach and you're in special teams, and once again, I coach special teams in the NFL, and I coach special teams in college, and it came up at that level. So I'll guarantee you it'll come up at your level. Do your homework going into the game as a coach to look and see not only the type of player that your guys are going to be playing against, look at who makes plays. It's your job to chart every kickoff, all right, and look and see who makes the tackles, who doesn't make the tackles. As you get to about game 4 or 5, and you start looking up there and you see where the L4 or the L3, and that'll be odd because usually the better players will be inside, but you start seeing a guy that hadn't made a play. Guys, I'm here to tell you right now, you don't need to necessarily block them. You might have a plan for them, but the thing is, there may be somewhere else that you've got to double team somebody. There are players out there that you're probably going to have to double to have a chance to get them blocked. But my point to you is that even in the college and the NFL level, as you got later in the season, and it was week 13 or 14, and you saw they picked the guy up off the practice squad, and you knew you had tape on him from the team he was before or whatever, but the guy just didn't make plays. I mean, you don't necessarily have to block them all. Let's put it that way. Block the ones that make plays. And I know that sounds crazy, but I'm telling you right now that you can do that. All right, let's go to the next technique, sift technique. Really important technique. This happens out on the edge, guys. And we've got a couple good looks at this in the video I'm going to show you. As you're going back and the ball is being run away from you. In this case right here, this is the right tackle. The ball's being run to the left. The 1 and the 2 are coming down. If you can teach, and it's easier to teach it'll be easier to teach in high school than it is in college, easier in college than it is in NFL, because they'll give it away. You'll find out that you'll have safeties. If this one is going to be a safety, they'll sit way back here. They'll be back here 15, 20 yards deep because they're scared to death. And so if that happens, then you just want to block this 2. But if you get in a situation where now the 2 is going to be a wide contain and that 1 is going to get involved, then just work what we call a sift technique. So set back, and as you see him widen, he's not going to be the ball player. He's going to be the contain player. Accelerate up through and get on the 1, get on the most dangerous, and let the 2 go. It's very important. There are a lot of touchdowns that get tackled on about the 50 or 40-yard line because people don't do this very well. And it's a pretty simple drill. It's really just block the most dangerous, but you've got to teach them that. A technique is similar, all right, is what we call a run-by technique. And it's a little bit, it's like a more elaborate version of that, when you were absorbing and redirecting. sometimes guys never even, particularly if you've got a 2, all right, a wide guy, they never even get to where you're going to engage him. So a run by technique, guys, is this. If you're out on the edge and you're a left tackle, and say it's 5 men up, you're the furthest guy on the left on the front line, and you've got the 2 right here, and you know that he is just going to flat try to outrun you past, you're a safety or a linebacker, and he's just going to try to abuse you with the speed. Don't even get to the point that where you engage him. Take off and get to a point somewhere between where he starts and the ball and intersect him, and just try to get a hand on him and try to run him wide, because anybody that's that fast is not going to be that physical usually. And so what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to get a hand on them and keep active feet. You can't just go take a shot and have dead feet, but keep your active feet and run them past the ball. Keep him wide enough to where he runs past the returner. And then what you've got to worry about is making sure that if he tries to go around you late, or if he tries to draw retrace, as we call it, you've got to retrace with him and get in his way. But we call that just a run-by technique. It's very similar to the sift technique. Now, counter blocking, once again, it kind of ties into that thing I was showing you with the counter blocks earlier, with that return of scheme. So if I'm returning, all right, and I'm the left tackle over here, okay, and we've been middle returning over, middle return, which is what you should do. You ought to get really good at one scheme first, and wear people out, and then try to find something off of it. So if you've done this plenty of times and you're left tackle, with ball returner man, and when you've gotten back, you bust your butt, you get back, you get inside your hips, you're buzzing your feet, and you're blocking him out. You're blocking him out. You're blocking him out. What you want to do on the counter technique is do exactly the same thing all the way up until contact. And then what will happen now, coaches, I'm telling you right now, when you try to do this, the player's going to come back. He's going to take a weird angle. He's going to try to get over here because he thinks he can't lose the guy to the outside. It's very important that they don't do anything different all the way up to contact. On contact, what you want to do is you want to contact the outside number, all right? And you want to just really slip at the last second, because you got to make this guy believe he's beating you across his face. And then at that point, when he kind of realizes what's going on, you've got to be able to accelerate your feet, and you don't lose him across your face. If you lose him around you, all right, so be it. But you cannot lose him across your across your face. And that's our counter blocking rules right there. All right, now this is a little bit more, we're getting a little bit more technical here. We got what we call a look-off technique. We have an excellent version of that in the video we're going to watch. Okay, so, with your experienced players, after they get going a little bit, you get experienced players that are playing against them too. So, if you're running that middle return over and over and over again, and you got your left tackle and your left guard, and they're blocking out on the 3 or the 2 or whatever, the thing that happens after a while, you start getting twists. You start getting where the 2 understands that guy's blocking him, and he comes up and he's going to give him juke. He'll give him speed, accelerates, pause, accelerate, pause. So what you can do is you can teach a technique called a look-off technique. And the look-off technique, you still have to use your ball flight returner man adage. But when that ball is kicked, what you want to do is you want the tackle, all right, to be looking at the L3. Okay, now, obviously what you would have to have is maybe another scheme, and at the college level you probably would. But this tackle needs to make that 3 believe that he's about to pin it. And the returner is a big part of this as well. The returner is going to start, all right, like they're going out here wide. So what will happen is this tackle will bluff this 3, which will widen him because he thinks he's getting blocked by the tackle. And now it'll make the block easier for this guard. And now at the last second, this tackle is going to wheel and get a piece of the 2. Now, typically what you're doing is you're using this when the 3 is a dangerous cover guy and the 2 not so much. The 2 is kind of He's really a contained guy that's not going to get involved in very much. But I'm going to show you that as you get going with your technique with your older players, that you can actually do this. It's called a look-off technique. Okay, so a couple of these I'm just going to show you. I'm going to show you some examples of a post and pin. All right, right here, you can see it. We've got a post and pin and trap, because I want to teach these really together right here. So we all teach double teams at some point with a kickoff return, if that's actually the scheme that we like, meaning that we're looking to where we need to stop a particular player. So in this case right here, and that's a typo right there. That should be like a 4. But you've got the center and the guard are double teaming this inside player right here. So the technique that we use, we call it a post and pin. All right, the post is the guy that's going to use the ball flight returner man principles. And when the ball's kicked, he's going to bust his butt, get back, buzz his feet, get his hips turned, and he's going to front up the guy that they are blocking. He is going to post that guy up. This is a very aggressive block, because you've got to, for the most part, get this guy's momentum stopped right here. Now, I don't have any landmarks in here. Like I said before, some of you are high school, some of you are college. What you've got to do is you've got to determine your landmark. But what I will say is this, is that landmark needs to be taught. If it's a 35-yard line, if it's a 30-yard line, if you want it inside the hash, outside the hash, whatever your field looks like, extremely important, because the way to teach this is this. You want to teach the center to set it. You want to teach the guard to look at the center. And over here, when we get to the trap part of it, you want to teach the trap guy to make his block off of the post and pin. So you're not out there, everybody looking at the cover guy, thinking like how fast you think he's going, how much, which angle you think he's taking. You're going to feed off of one another. So in this case, the center, who is the post, is going to open his hips, bust his butt, flip his hips back around, get in front, set this up on, let's say it's a 35-yard line. The right guard, who is the pin guy, and you're running out here to the right, is going to do the same thing, open his hips up, and he's going to set just outside the center in this case. He's not even really worried as much about the two. When that center sets up and they make contact, that's really the first time that guard is maybe even going to see the cover guy. And so he is going to pin immediately after the post. And so we've got a couple good shots of this in the video. Now, guys, it's like everything else in football. It doesn't always look like this when you do it. But the more discipline that you teach it, the more you impress upon them that it needs to happen right at that yard line, the more accurate it's going to be. Because if you do that, you're going to give your trap guy an opportunity. And I will open this up right here. All right, your trap guy, what he's going to do is he's going to come back and he's going to set everything up off of that double team. In fact, what you want to teach him to do is you want to teach him to kind of come back, and he can, if he can, hide behind the double team, where this 4 in this case can't see it coming. All right, now, fast 4 can't do that. You got to get on your horse and better get there, because he'll run right by you if you don't. But if you've got a guy that's a bull in the china shop kind of guy, you can maybe tempo this and kind of be a little sneaky about it and hide back in here. And what you want to do is that trap block should come right off of the post and pin. And it can be an aggressive block when you draw it up. Everybody looks at it and thinks, well, that's going to be a real, violent block. But I'm telling you right now, more often than not, to get it done, what you want to do is you want to pace yourself and make sure that you get the block inside out. And the coaching point for both of these two blocks, coaches, is this. Even the post and the pin. If I'm the center and I'm going to lose this 5 right here, I'm going to lose him here. I'm not going to lose him to the side of the pin. Pin's got to, he's got an obligation to help with that too. If you lose him over here, that's okay. All right, because you've got the return out here. Same thing with the trap. I cannot get beat across my face with the trap. I must lose him up the field. Okay. I've got one more technique that I want to show you. Let me go back and open one of these. Now that is for the front line. Now the back end, guys, all right? The back end to me is something that you should teach. You need to teach it like it's an offensive play, okay? And I'm gonna open up that, if I can find it right here, all right? Gets back to that thing I was talking about, you know, the more you can teach it like offense and defense. Now, here's the, you know, this is the returner, your fullback, we call it, you know, the two ends back here. We set landmarks of 12 to 15 yards, all right, for the returner from the two people in the middle, we call them once again ends, and 7 yards from the fullback. We wanted the fullback to actually be 2 yards wide from the returner, all right? It used to be a wedge. It's not a wedge now. You know, it kind of still sets up that way to begin with, but we wanted those two guys to be directly over top of the returner, and we wanted the fullback to be offset 2 by 7. Now, but here's the point I want to make to you guys. When you're teaching this to your players, try to make the point, because this is critical. Anytime you're teaching a big field play, if you don't get the spacing set up, you don't get the timing set up, you have no chance. Because what's going to happen is it's the same thing. Imagine going up to the line of scrimmage with an offensive play, and your quarterback lined up at 10, all right, in your shotgun, and your tailback lined up at 18, and your fullback was somewhere, you know, around 12. I mean, by the time they got to the line of scrimmage, obviously your offensive line would have lost their blocks. You would have no chance. Same, you know, the opposite of that. Imagine coming up and your quarterback lines up under the center, but your fullback and tailback line up at 2 and 3. Well, there's not going to be enough time to even develop a blocking scheme. It's exactly what happens to you on a kickoff return. You need to set the formation first. You need to get it set up to where these guys are trusting the fullback to look at the return. He's going to give them a go call. They understand their job is to get 12 to 15 from the returner. Once again, they have a much easier job of finding the ball than those guys on the front line do. So there's no excuse for them not to be able to get set up, right? Somewhere close to 12 to 15. Fullback, what he can do is he's just got to get in between. He's got to be loud, vocal. They got to communicate back here who's going to actually handle that ball. You'll see with the Tennessee video I'm about to show you, we had 2 returners because we had Cordell Patterson back there that year, and they were always trying to kick it away from him. But same deal. We needed a go call and all of that. So I strongly encourage you that in the back end to teach formations. All right, let me check my sheet here and make sure, like I said, I'm a creature of, I have check sheets. So, all right, while I've got this, I do want to make a point about the returner. I mean, I don't have a sheet, scheme for that, or excuse me, a technique thing for that. But your returner, guys, is all important about setting up where you're going to run. If you've got a guy, first thing I would recommend, and once again, I know there are exceptions to this, get a returner that's a slashing type runner. Because on punt return, if you get a guy that's a jitterbug and he dances around a little bit, makes people miss, usually that's what you have to do, because you've got to beat a gunner or two or somebody that's going to get down there pretty quickly. But if, you know, on kickoff return, you don't. You want a guy that's a slashing type runner that's going to get started at some point north-south, and then he's going to make cuts, all right? He's going to not dance in the hole and give people a chance to, you know, to close the ground on him. And the other thing I would say is coach your returner to understand the scheme, to understand what blocks are being made up here. If he understands the blocks that are being made for him, he can actually set them up. Same thing as running the zone. Imagine running the zone scheme on offense and everybody was zoning to the left up front, but your back was like, I'm not going to worry about that. I know this ball is going to cut back, so I'm just going to go back. You can't do it. You know, obviously the ball carrier starts the zone scheme strong and then cuts it back. You're going to see Patterson cut the ball back a lot, but you're also going to see him set it up. He sets up most of the things that happen for him. All right, let's get in here and take a look at some video. All hardest part of my night, guys, is getting this stuff straight. But all right, I don't know what order we'll go in here, but this is Mississippi State. All right, actually it's the second one I want to show you, but we'll just go with it. All right, now what you're going to see here is a post and pin on the left side. What we're doing is we're doubling their 4. All right, we're trapping their 5. And so the play is designed to come over here. Once again, it's going to go pretty much where it goes at some point. Let's just take a look right here. And I don't have an ideal clicker. I'm running this off of my home computer. But you're going to see right there that we're trying to double that 4, and our guy just flat gets run over. If you see it happening right there on the 35-yard line, he's trying to set up around the 40, give ground. All right, really it's our center. He gets run up over top of. All right, but we do, at least somebody gets the guy inside. Now, take a look, all right, take a look at this guy right here. I don't know if you can see my mouse or not. All right, but once again, you've got to understand the speed of who's coming down the field. We'll look at it from the end zone copy, a little bit easier to see. But he does get a piece of the guy right there. All right, let's go to the end zone. Now there's the cutback I'm telling you. You're going to think, yeah, coach, get one of those and we'll all be good on kickoff return. And you're right. But there's a lot that goes into this right here. I'm going to show you, as you get right here, where any of us probably would have seen this and went out here where nobody was, but he went over here where there was 2 guys and still made a miss. So. All right, so let's take a look from the end zone. Let's see if we get a formation set up first of all. So as a coach, you should do this every time you have a return. Boom, all right? Ball's caught, right? So what you should do is you should stop your video and go, hey guys, what do we got here? And let's just see what we do have. Really kind of a short kick. For a guy this fast, you probably want to err on the side of too far as opposed to too close. Because I'll promise you, unless he's just throttling it to set the return up, he's going to run up over top of you very quickly. So we're a little bit too close here, all right? And really the off returner or fullback is too. But, at the end of the day, we do have what we're calling like a formation set up here. All right, let's go back up here. All right, right here you can see where we're trying to get the double. We get run over to trying to get the double on this guy right here. And he runs through it. Now here's your trap block. This guy right here at the goalpost, left goalpost. All right, he understands this guy right here is going to get double. He's trying to hide behind the double so this guy can't see him, and he does it. But there's your trap. Sometimes it can be a violent block. All right, now guys, here's the one I want to show you. All right. Once again, I'm hoping that y'all can see my mouse, all right, or my pointer right here. This right guard right here, he's executing a look-off technique. And this is a textbook of how to do it. All right, so he's right here, and he's got this 5 right here, believing that he's going to make the block on him, all right? So look what happens as he widens and comes back to get his guy. So what he does, he makes this guy think he's being blocked. In the last second, he sees who's really blocking him. And we get 2 for 1. But it's all because of this guy right here, the guy with the look-off block. Okay, good job back over here. You know, they're finding their angles. You look right here and you see, these are college players, and they've done it a time or two at this point. This is game probably 7 or 8. But, they've got their eyes completely off of their man, all right? And but they're trying to get back here and locate the returner because they know the returner is going to tell them where they need to be. Now, good job by this tackle right here, sifting up on really what ends up being 3, because 2 and 3 end up twisted. All right, let me go down and get another one here. Let's see, I think the one. Sorry, guys, I got Zoom stuff everywhere. All right, let me open up this one right here. Okay, we can look at that. I want to show you the North Carolina one before we go. This is Alabama right here. Okay, same deal. And what we're doing right here is we're posting and pinning right here. We're posting this 5 right here. It turns out they trade. They're either reading us. Alabama read it on the run quite a bit, or they're twisting, but it doesn't matter. Boom. Right here's your post and pin. Right here. All right, now we don't necessarily have a trap here, but what we do have, we got 4 hats to 4 hats. Back here are your backside cutoffs, okay? These blocks back here, guys, taking the right angle are critical, because more often than not, if you've got the right returner, I know we're all going to draw it up and we're going to go, okay, we're going to double this 5 right here, and we're going to get somebody up on the safety, and we're going to kick out. It looks all good on the board, but what's going to happen more often than not is it's going to start this way. That returner is going to put his foot in the ground, and he's going to break back, just like he does right here. Let's take a look at it from the end zone. And guys, I see your questions. If you got on here late, we're going to have a question and answer session at the end of it. I'll answer every question you got. I'll stay here to midnight if we have to. All right, let's take a look here. Let's see if we get a formation set up. Now, they're trying to kick it away from Patterson. All right, pretty good. Short kick, but, we've got pretty good distribution here. We're going to get the double up here like we talked about. Once again, it's the guys back here, and you can see, once again, Alabama, it's just like when you're playing in the SEC, it's like really, it's almost like pretty much is like an NFL team, because they're giving signals to each other. They're reading. I think they actually read the double and twisted after they saw the double right here. Let's freeze it. You're in good shape right here. Now, I think Cordero, what he wanted to do was start right here, and he would have cut this ball right here, but he sees this. He sees we lose this backside cutoff block. All right? Even though that looks like it's there, he understands. Probably not. That guy's a good player too. So what he does is he takes it, presses it, just like if you were coaching the zone, you would tell your back, press it strong side first before you cut it back. But at some point, he's good enough where he takes it up in there now. He's going to put his foot in the ground, and guess what? He makes those backside blocks right. Now, you probably don't have one of these. I mean, he's still doing this in the NFL. I get it. But the premise is still there about how you get it going, all right, initially. All right, let me see if I can get one of these up here. All right, good. Now, guys, this is the first kickoff return of our season that year. And so It's the return that I showed you. It's just a middle return. We're playing North Carolina State in the kickoff deal in Atlanta. And so, as you know, got a bad kicker, he's nervous, first time he's kicking it. But we're just trying to be very basic. Now let's take a look. These guys have been in practice. They think they've got the speed. They're trying to get back, get their hips flipped around. And the truth be known is, you never know the first game where everybody's going to be. We got a pretty good idea, but you don't. So this guy up here, he may be thinking he's going to have somebody runs him over top him, but talking about this guard right here, he ends up having a speed guy, so he totally misses. But for the most part, you can see we get hats on a hat right here. Now, what I do want to show you, I want to check my notes here because I was looking at this before. Look at who makes this play. Look at who makes if he does not make the play, guys, I'm here to tell you, we might have run the opening kickoff of the season back. It's going to be your one up here. All right? Your one is going to make the touchdown tackle because this tackle up here for us, he should sift this. He should look, and if two stays wide and he sees one come underneath, he should also know that the ball's kicked over here. Take a little better angle. If he would accelerate his feet, get his body up on one right here, two will run past this. And we would have had a blocker for this one right here. As it turns out, that's who ends up, well, I guess he didn't make the play, but he ends up tripping him up just enough. Let's take a look at it from the end zone. Now, important that you coaches, guys, when, and particularly in high school, you're sitting there, and I know a lot of soccer players are playing football now, so you have better kicks than you used to. But at the high school level, I can imagine that you get some kicks that aren't that deep. And so you got to coach your guys that when they see that, you kind of got to abort all this stuff about, who's going to be where. You got to, get back up, or particularly if you've got a middle return where it's a man scheme like we do right here. So these are the guys I was talking about. Let's take a look at this guard right here. That's what happens if you try to be aggressive with a speed guy. I'm talking about the guy right here in the 50 coming back. Now, once again, to his defense, he probably didn't know he had a speed guy. Now he does. All right, but let's look right here. This is the way you do it. He's got a bull, he's got a guy that's going to be very physical with him. He comes back, he's striking, but now he's going to absorb that. You don't have to stone the guy. He ends up putting him on his back, but you don't have to do that initially. And I showed you this guy over here should be sifting. These guys over here are kind of redirecting, running them past the returner. Cordell does a really good job being the off returner coming up on the one folding right there. Okay, guys, I'm gonna look at your questions here. Some of you have already put them in here. Once again, if you don't already have your questions in, get them in. We'll answer as many as we can. I got them in different places here. I got some in chat, some in Q&A, but I'm gonna answer this one first. Do you ever teach a wedge scheme? If so, can you talk wedge scheme? Coach, we used to. The wedge, best, and once again, you're talking to a guy that hadn't coached in about almost 8 years. So the wedge with the, how much is illegal, I guess is where I'm going with this. I don't know if you can't have a two-man wedge, or you definitely can't have a three-man wedge. What we used to teach with the wedge was kind of the same thing we taught with this off returner right here. I'll just use this since it's a pretty good. With these guys back here, we would teach that wedge the way we showed you with setting the formation, but they would be together. The thing that we would teach with the wedge, and I think you can still teach it, is that even when you separate at the last second, it's your aiming points. If you've got a guy that's coming down and you know that you're going to really, what you're going to do is you're going to block first level to second level, make sure if the ball's going inside that both of you lose the cover guy out here, lose him outside, all right? And then whoever is the most inside will go to the second level. Now, once again, I don't know what all your rules are, whether you can even, if you can have a two-man wedge, it's a lot easier to stay close because you don't get split. But I think even if you don't have a two-man wedge, what you can do is you can stay in close proximity, understanding that you know where the ball's going, they don't. So once again, if that ball's going inside and my outside guy and inside guy are there, I want to make sure that my outside guy blocks the guy that's the deepest, that gets here, and my inside guy gets up on the next level. I hope that answers that question. Let me go over here. All right. I'm having a little problem here with the Q&A, understand exactly how that works. If my assistant will help me with that, that would be a good thing. I think she's on here somewhere. Guys, if you can go to chat and ask your questions, I can see the chat. I can't get to the Q&A right now. I'm not sure how to get to that. Guys, if you know how to get over here to the chat area, just go to chat and ask your question. There we go. One of you jumped over there. I know my assistant's on here. If she can text me if I'm doing something wrong, tell me how to get to the Q&A, I will. Good. All right, I see you guys. I think you're over in chat now. All right, here we go. All right. Will any of these schemes be available via email or mode of sharing? Well, a couple things. One is that yeah, we've got it out there. We'll put them out there, but obviously, we'd love for you to be a part of FirstDown Playbook and have them in there where you can actually edit them for your own team, and you can pick the ones that that you want. But yeah, we put them out there. We put stuff on Twitter all the time. We put it in the coaches community site. But yeah, we'll try to get some of them out there. Do you have a favorite return for a stud returner like your guy in Tennessee? Well, it's a good question because I think it gets back, Coach, to what I was talking about earlier. I think you look at what your guy does well, and he's obviously a slash type runner. I mean, he is special. I'm not sure, to be perfectly well. I am sure. I've never coached anybody as good as him doing it, and I'm not sure, and that's why he's still in the NFL. And every year it takes one or two back at that level, and he's been in the league now going on about 8 years. So I think what you do is you look at what they do well, but to me, the vision part of it, some guys can't see the doubles and they can't see the schemes well enough. So what I would do is I would, all talent being the same, try to find a slash runner like I was talking about, but I would also try to get a guy that has vision, and make sure that you're running something to where he can actually see what's happening. Because if he can't see what's happening and he's just running blind, he's going to run into trouble. And inevitably somebody's going to turn one loose on him. That just happens. That's all that's why we call it a leap of faith, that you got to hit it up in there and you got to trust your guy. But I'm telling you right now, it will be game one or game two. Somebody will turn one loose and you will have to make him miss or he's going to hit you. So my answer to that would be, if you got a guy that sees things well, I would try to get what he understands so that you can be the best, scheme-wise with him. Any advice for squib kicks? Yeah, we actually we have a squib return. And let me see if I can get back over here. FirstDown Playbook. And guys, once again, I mean, I got to have a little bit of selfish indulgence here about FirstDown Playbook. I'm telling you right now that FirstDown Playbook is an incredible resource for you from a standpoint of special teams. And we'll cover it. We're going to use it over the next 6 weeks. But let me go in here to kickoff return. And I want to say it's in probably 6-up return, but we've got a special scheme that we do just for squibs. And it's too complex, Coach, to be talking about, in detail tonight. But I'll open it up here if I can find it. I think it's probably on the second page as we get here, and I'll show you how we did it anyway. And there's hands. Right here it is. We had a 6-up squib alert, okay, where everybody up front was going to short set. Our ends were going to jump inside on the 5s. Our off returner and the middle guy, and I know your schemes might be a little bit different, we're going to, block the edge guys. But if you look at it, guys, if you look at the way when they come down, the 2s become a non-factor. So you're out, your guys that are deepest, they ought to be able to get a hand on that guy, keep him wide. It's your people up front that need the short set. And so what we did is we just quick counted inside out. We had a 6-man front in those days. All right. We were going to try to get a double on the 5s. We were going to try to get the guards on the 4s, the tackles on the 3s. So we had double teams at the point of attack because point of attack was going to be field it and get upfield. Now, what this little thing down here is, and it's probably too complex for high school football. I don't mean to be insulting about it, but it was hard for us to teach at Tennessee. The returner knew that whoever fielded this, whether it would be the end, the fullback, the end, or the right end, he was to block their guy. So the returner had to actually know who they were. So that's the way you got a hat on a hat. But the important thing to coach any of these guys in here was get north-south. Don't dance. Don't try to make, chicken salad out of the other chicken thing. Get going north-south. Get as many yards as you can. And let's take that ball and start driving around the 50-yard line. All right, let me see if I can get back over to the questions. All right. Forgive me, guys. I'm working here. All right, at our level, we face a lot of short kicks, 30-yard line near the sideline. How do you deal with that? Well, if you're talking about, it's kind of the same thing. If you're talking about, where they're sky kicking it, we have a deal for that in here too. And the biggest thing I would say, Coach, is this. If that's what you're talking about, I don't know where exactly it is, to be honest with you. You have to kind of go in there and look a little bit. But we do have a sky kick plan. The only thing I would say, when I watch, and I've watched more high school football here the last 3 or 4 years, and, obviously I did before when I was coaching in college and the NFL, is that I see guys let people squib or sky kick it the whole game and not change their personnel. So the first thing I would do, and like I said, I don't know where we've got so much stuff in FirstDown PlayBook. Sometimes it's hard to find where it is. But let me see if I can, maybe it's over here in the specials. But to me, I would get my returner, all right, where he needs to be if they keep doing that. And so what I would do is, let me see if it's in the 5-up. I would get my returner to that side where that kicker is going to sky kick it and then get him swapped at the last second. Because I've sat there and watched really good football teams get the ball sky kicked to them the whole game, all right? And right here, we call it the pooch alert. Right here it is, all right? So what we would do is we would try to have him close enough to where we would run him to get underneath the ball. Now, you have to be a little trickier about it. Some of the high school games that I was seeing, you could just take the guy and line him up over there, okay? But what we had to do is we had to take Patterson, sneak him over to that side, and let him take off and sprint to try to get there and field it. But we had to keep the fullback, or really our off returner back here, just in case they kicked it deep at the last second. But I would tell you, that really you can keep almost the same blocking and get your returner over here somewhere in the 30 and tell him to get it back to the middle. That's the one coaching point we had with this, that, yeah, they sky kick it and people are coming down here and these guys have got to use great technique, your tackle and guard. They've got to get a piece of them, knock them out of bounds or whatever, but get the ball back into the middle, slightly before you start getting to north-south. That was our philosophy on it. Obviously, if the kicker does a good job on it, you shouldn't be able to get much out of it. That's why they do it. But this is the scheme that we use. All right. Let's go. Thank you very much, Coach. I appreciate that. All right. Thank you. Every pass return we had in the past 3 years, past the 50, good old-fashioned double wedge. At the high school level, are you a fan of that simple yet effective return? I am. Guys, I have to be honest with you. I'm throwing myself on the mercy of the court. I don't know. I've asked the coach last week, and he told me in his state that they couldn't run a wedge. And so if you can run a wedge, guys, and I would be glad to, we've got areas in that where we coach it, and I've got better clips of two-man wedges. It used to be, once again, you could have a three-man wedge. But the wedge, once again, to me, is all part of that timing thing I talked about, and I'm a big believer in the wedge as an effective tool. But at the same time, I'm a big believer in special teams, and I don't want to see it kicked out of the game. And I'm scared if we don't do some things and that they're going to take it out of the game and make us line up and start playing at the 20-yard line. I don't. I'm old. I'm 60 years old. I don't want to see that. So I do believe in coaching as much safe things as we can do too. But hey, once again, I've coached plenty of wedge in my time. Anybody got any other questions? I'm trying to make sure I'm not screwing something up here. Guys, I appreciate you. I really do. We'll do it again next Monday. I guess I'm COVID-19'd out. I was putting in the money. I didn't even realize it was Memorial Day. So wasn't trying to offend anybody or anything like that. But next Monday night at 9 o'clock, we're going to do the same thing. And we're going to get after the I think it's punt next week. And so we'll do it for 6 weeks. Spread the word, guys. We had a great crowd tonight. We'd like to have it each and every week. And please spread the word about FirstDown PlayBook. It's a heck of a tool. Obviously, that's easy for me to say because I own the company. But I will promise you right now that special teams is only one part of it. It will save your staff. It'll save you a ton of time, and we're continually going to make it better. Thank you all very much, and have a good night.